Welcome back. Would you go 100% in any asset or MicroStrategy to be specific? Now, we've talked extensively about MicroStrategy since I started this channel and since MicroStrategy began kind of getting into the crypto space back in 2020 and started to buy Bitcoin. And as a Bitcoin only company, they've completely transformed what their operations are from a software company only that was kind of making money, kind of not, to this major Bitcoin pivot. And they've changed the game in terms of not only what a treasury looks like for corporations, but also kind of where this crypto landscape is. And really, from an investor perspective, is this a good or bad investment? Now, keep in mind, the stock has already split multiple times, and I think it just split recently in the last 1 year. But these prices on the chart are reflective of the split. So if we look here, last year we were at about $79 in February, but that was actually before I think it was a 10-to-1 split, meaning this was actually $795 at the time. And this conversation about the stock splitting is going to be important as we kind of go through this video that I'm going to be covering of this person who posted this in a group on X called Irresponsibly Long MSTR, meaning they're probably close to 100% of their portfolio, or at least a very large percentage of their portfolio in MSTR. And his profile says professional MSTR holder, not financial advice. So he believes that MicroStrategy is going to be going over $1,000 this year. And so I kind of wanted to kind of go through this video and listen to it and kind of react to it and give you guys my opinions on this, because I do think that there is the potential that we're going to hit $1,000, but I don't think it's going to be long lived for multiple different reasons. That's if we even hit $1,000. And here's the deal. I do hold MSTR when I'm recording this video. I do hold some MSTR, and I do believe that the price is going to go up, especially with all of the Bitcoin purchases that they're making. But there's a lot of risk involved here because they're also doing some other things with their stock, which we're going to be talking about, that are not a net positive for the shareholder if you're looking for kind of major gains and you're not taking these other factors into account. And again, I don't know. I'm just giving you guys my opinion on this video and his thoughts about this $1,000 MicroStrategy. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe I'll be right. Who knows? It's just my opinion. And by the way, don't forget to give this video a free thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button. That way you never miss a new video. Let's listen to what he says.
What's up, guys? This is your boy Gladiator, and today we're getting a little bit of a sell-off in strategy, MSTR. I'm not really worried. So the technical pattern says that we might see a sell-off and a retest of the bull's descending wedge to roughly, I don't know, 260-ish. Could happen, could not, could just break out from here. Either way, strategy's an $83 billion market cap. This company is going to become the #1 company in the world one day. That's a given. Because they already won the digital gold race. They already have over 2% of the permanent Bitcoin supply. So they already won. They have first mover advantage, and they're going to continue adding to that. So there's no chance in my mind that any other company catches up to what Strategy's created.
So let's pause right here because there's a lot already. I agree with everything that he's saying in terms of the facts that they're the largest Bitcoin company, that they're going to probably become the largest company in the world by market cap if the theory and the thesis about Bitcoin continuing to go up basically forever is true. But here's the deal, though, right? These things happen much, much slower than most people anticipate. And the price of Bitcoin going up and MicroStrategy's stock price also going up, when we're already at a 50% premium, meaning if you buy one stock at about $320 a MicroStrategy, you're getting basically about $160, basically 50% of that share contains Bitcoin, right? If you kind of did the exact math, right? So you're paying basically a 50% premium or 100% premium. You guys kind of get it. It's a 50% drop from where the price is now. So it's a 100% premium basically for owning a stock that owns Bitcoin. So that's issue number one. The other thing to keep in mind is just because, yes, over time the price is going to continue to go up, this does not mean that MicroStrategy is not going to be um, another participant, I guess you could say, of the bear market. Because when Bitcoin goes into the bear market, if 50% or 60% of this market cap is in Bitcoin and Bitcoin drops, let's say 50%, let's say it goes to $50,000 from where we are today at 100,000, this potentially could drop the price of MicroStrategy even more than 50% because this is already over levered, right? So if we went back to true value of the Bitcoin underlying, not necessarily saying the MicroStrategy business, and we drop to half of this, it's $160, and then your share, the Bitcoin in it, is worth half of that. That means the price is $80, right? And so there are other dynamics in play here, which we're going to get to in just a minute, about why I believe there's going to be a lot more sell pressure in the MicroStrategy stock and how this could keep the price suppressed, almost in a way kind of artificially being done by the company itself. So let's continue listening in.
Even if another company like Meta decided to go all in Bitcoin, which I doubt they will, they would never be able to create the perfect Bitcoin levered product that Strategy creates. So yeah, there's going to be Strategy will always be the number one Bitcoin acquisition company. They have the largest Bitcoin treasury operation. They were the first company to do it. And Bitcoin is the future. Bitcoin's going to go up to infinity because in the end, everything will be priced in Bitcoin. So I really believe.
I don't necessarily agree that everything's going to be priced in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin going up to infinity, a lot of sure things that he's talking about. But let's be clear, guys, right? MicroStrategy may be the number one Bitcoin acquisition company, but they're not going to be the largest holder of Bitcoin. And let me explain why. If you just look at the institutional holdings of MicroStrategy when I'm recording this in February 2025, you can clearly see here that the number one holder of MicroStrategy shares is BlackRock. BlackRock increased the share size by almost 2 million shares back in December, while many other financial institutions like Morgan Stanley, Capital International whatever, and Vanguard decreased their shares. And now BlackRock has 11 million shares, right? Value is $3.6 billion. Keep in mind, BlackRock also has controlling share or the largest shareholder of many of the Bitcoin mining companies as well. And many of these Bitcoin mining companies also own Bitcoin. And so BlackRock also has the Bitcoin ETF, which is the largest. I think it's the largest ETF. Maybe Grayscale is still the largest, but either way, it's in the top three largest Bitcoin ETFs in the world. So, so they're more diversified than MicroStrategy in all of these products. And so BlackRock is going to be the largest actual holder of Bitcoin and the largest Bitcoin held company in the world. It's not going to be MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy may hold the most individually as a company, but the company that actually owns the most would be BlackRock. And that's just based on the facts that we just discussed. So this idea that like MicroStrategy is it, this MicroStrategy is it. There's a reason a lot of these other companies are not doing this strategy because there is a lot of risk involved, especially because there's so much debt that's essentially issued for this Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin. If we look at and by the way, I'm not anti MicroStrategy. I own MicroStrategy. I do think that it's going to do well. I'm just kind of giving the other side that some people don't really talk about or think about when we're talking about where MicroStrategy is and MicroStrategy is going. I mean, we're at $100,000. We are closer to the average cost basis than we are further away from it, right? I mean, $65,000 is the average cost basis of all their Bitcoin. It's not like they have a very low cost basis, and over time, yes, this is going to probably be much lower than where the actual Bitcoin price is, but it's fairly close right now. I mean, less than 35% drop, and we're at their average cost basis. What happens if we drop 70%? What happens if we go back down to $30,000? Now, there's people who say that's never going to happen. The more people who say that, the more a reason that I believe it will actually happen. And so we have to think about this because even if MicroStrategy doesn't, like, let's say we go to $50,000, right? And MicroStrategy people are thinking that they're going to sell some of the Bitcoin. Just the fear alone that MicroStrategy could potentially move their Bitcoin or go into liquidation or not be able to pay off the debt could crater the price of not only the stock MicroStrategy, but also therefore the underlying crypto, Bitcoin. Because if people think that they're going to sell their Bitcoin, even if they're saying they're not going to sell it, this could put pressure on the price of Bitcoin. That can cause the price of MicroStrategy to go down. And then there's more fear, so there's more Bitcoin that's sold, then more MicroStrategy go down in price. And this can happen over the course of days, weeks, hours, or even months, right? But it could happen. And I don't think that there's enough talked about because MicroStrategy is going to continue to buy. And what that means is their dollar cost average is going to continue to go higher. And so the Bitcoin price can move faster then MicroStrategy can adjust their dollar cost average, their cost basis. And so this is another reason I think a lot of other companies are not trying this out. They're like, let MicroStrategy be the test dummy for this. And either MicroStrategy is going to implode or they're going to do extremely well. There's no kind of in between for it, right? That's the risk reward profile here for MicroStrategy, is that it's either going to implode or it's going to be this number one company that everybody's talking about in terms of valuation. I think that we're more likely to see the, the the number one company in the world versus the complete liquidation and implosion. But it's possible. It definitely is possible, and so I try to use that as a counterbalance to my very very bullish thesis on not only Bitcoin but MicroStrategy as well. Let's continue listening in.
That strategy is this once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's going to become the number one company in the world, and it's currently outside the top 100, and it's currently $82 billion market cap. So I think within the next 10 years, it will definitely go to $10 trillion market cap. But in this video, I want to talk about
Whoa, 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 whoa. So go from where we are now, $82 billion to $10 trillion, which is 100x over the next 10 years, which is basically 10xing every year for the next 10 years. That does not seem like it's going to be possible for many reasons, but we're going to kind of deep dive into the number one reason that I think that MicroStrategy bulls could potentially be liquidated themselves. But we're going to get to that in just 1 second. Let's continue listening in.
this year specifically, because right now it's 320, current stock split terms, $83 billion market cap. We might see a little sell-off, maybe not from here, but I think by year end, we will at least see $1,000 per strategy stock.
He's saying by 2025.
For sure, in my mind. So that's about a triple from here, a little more than that. I think we definitely go up at least 300% this year. And that's why I'm fully ported in strategy MSTR for my parents' basement. So $1,000 per MSTR share is going to happen this year for sure, in my opinion. And I can see actually much more than that, because there's huge potential for Bitcoin to go crazy this year, because we're seeing the ETF inflows. We're seeing strategy lever up and buy a ton of Bitcoin. We're seeing lots of other companies start to follow that same strategy playbook. And now we have a new thing where the nation states could potentially start buying Bitcoin. We saw a country, what was it? Abu Dhabi Wealth Fund, they started buying Bitcoin ETF. Trump's likely to start buying Bitcoin. He's our first Bitcoin president ever. That's huge. So we're seeing crazy demand spike for Bitcoin. It's getting institutionalized. So large flows of capital are going to flow.
Let's be clear, it's not getting institutionalized. It's already institutionalized, right? We have ETFs, we have companies involved in it. Being the first and being the number one holder, this means nothing. This means nothing about where the valuation is going, right? Because my thing is, we're already at a 100% premium, essentially, right? Where you're paying double what you're getting in Bitcoin in the MicroStrategy share. And I would say that the MicroStrategy business itself, besides Bitcoin, is probably not worth half of that market cap that he's talking about, which is basically $40 billion. The business is not worth $40 billion, I don't think, because they're not making that much money, right? So you're already paying over by 50% or by 100%, right? A 50% discount from the premium or whatever. Bottom line is, you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. Half of this share is Bitcoin. And where does he think that Bitcoin price is going? When we're recording this video, Bitcoin's at about $100,000. Right? I believe that maybe $200,000, right? There's some guesstimations and predictions about a $300,000, maybe not. I really don't think, even if we do triple, right? Does that mean that MicroStrategy is going to triple? Maybe not, right? But one of the big reasons I think that shareholders who are irresponsibly long on MicroStrategy are going to get screwed is this. MicroStrategy shareholders have voted, this is from December, but they voted in January and approved more stock issuance for the strategy company. So let's be clear. MicroStrategy shareholders voted and approved, again, this is a dated article, on increasing the authorized common stock shares to 10.3 billion shares. 10.3 billion shares. And currently, shares outstanding is about, I have it noted here, because 238 million, right? So think about that. Currently, we're at 238 million, basically 300 million total shares. Let me see if I can pull that up. should be under the summary, but maybe not. It should say outstanding shares somewhere here. But you can just take the price divided by the market cap, and you will get that number, which is basically 238 million shares of the stock that are currently outstanding. They're increasing that to 10 billion over time, but that basically means that they're going to be increasing the number of shares by 30x, which means dilution, right? It means stock dilution. This recent purchase on February 10th of 2025, this was stock dilution. They were selling shares on the open market. I mean, selling shares on the open market, taking that money and converting it into Bitcoin. That is dilution. And they're going to continue to dilute for the next however many years until they get to 10 billion shares. And keep in mind, they may stock split also. So if they stock split another 10 to 1, those 10 billion shares turn into 100 billion shares. And this is I think this is a major concern for me as a shareholder of MicroStrategy, but also as a future shareholder. Because the other thing that you have to keep in mind is that, you know, Michael Saylor, he owns zero MicroStrategy. I mean, he is a full-on Bitcoin maximalist. He only owns Bitcoin, I would imagine, because we know that he holds a very large sum of Bitcoin. But you can see here on the actual Nasdaq filings from the SEC that back in April of last year of 2024, Michael Saylor, he sold his final tranche, and now he owns zero shares. He has zero shares left, right? So while I think that he's doing that because he wants to own Bitcoin, that's probably the reason. Um, he's not necessarily as concerned about the share price as he would have if he was owning it, right? And so that is a concern. The concern about the share increasing to 10.3 billion shares, which is 30x from where we currently are. This is a huge risk, in my view, for the price. And so if you add that risk, okay, to the fact that there is a potential at some point now in the bull run or even in the bear market that we will go under that dollar cost average for strategy, which I don't think has happened recently, at least in none of the last year. This could potentially cause that ripple effect, right? Kind of almost like a liquidation pattern. Typically, what we see in like Bitcoin or the other cryptos is once you start moving down, the moves to the downside happen very, very violently and fast, and that's because of over leverage and liquidations. Because once a liquidation occurs, the liquidation occurs at market, right? So it happens at a market order. And so if the market is very thin at the time or bearish and you put a market order in, that could push the price down even further, significantly further down. And that could cause more liquidations, more market orders, more pushing down the price, more liquidation. And it becomes a cycle. This is why we see circuit breakers in the stock market. And this is why in crypto, we have circuit breakers as well. These are called crypto exchanges. Notice the crypto exchanges go down whenever the price is moving very, very harshly to one direction or the other. In my view, these are circuit breakers to kind of slow down the pain and also allow those bots or individuals to go in and adjust those liquidation and margin requirements. These are just my opinions on it, but I do think that in a bear market, like if we were to flip into a bear market today from $100,000 Bitcoin, we're definitely going down to 50,000, maybe even $40,000. For how long? I don't know. How would that affect MicroStrategy? How would the shareholders react to this? Would they demand that the MicroStrategy sell some of their Bitcoin to lower their cost basis and also kind of mitigate some of that risk and have cash aside? This is a potential, right? Michael Saylor may not want to do it, but remember, BlackRock is one of the largest holders of MicroStrategy shares. So if BlackRock walks in and says to the board of directors, like, you guys need to sell some of this Bitcoin and reduce some of this risk, the board can say, do it. And Michael Saylor, he's going to have to do it, right? There's a potential that that could occur. And so these kind of outlying risks to MicroStrategy, in my view, are one reason I wouldn't put 100% of my portfolio into MicroStrategy, and why I am still bullish on MicroStrategy. I don't know that I'm $1,000 MicroStrategy bullish if they continue to issue new shares and release these new shares into the ecosystem, which will dilute every other shareholder. That that's like inflation in the crypto markets, right? When a crypto market, they start inflating by billions or millions, this could put some sell pressure. So let's continue listening to what he says.
Bitcoin, who benefits most from that? Strategy. And Strategy is the highest performing Bitcoin stock. And I just pretend I'm stupid. And I've seen over the last 5 years, MSTR Strategy has outperformed Bitcoin by a significant amount. It's up about 2,000% last 5 years. I'm pretty sure Bitcoin's about half of that. It's only up 1,000%. Let's just look. I'll pull it up right here. I want to get you guys accurate information. So last 5 years today, Bitcoin's up 893%. MSTR stock Strategy is up 2,042%. So it's almost triple the performance of Bitcoin over the last 5 years. And yeah.
And what does every financial advisor say? Every financial, and by the way, I don't think he's a financial advisor, but financial advisors say past performance does not predict future performance. And if we were thinking about that, you could say the same thing about Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin, look at how well Bitcoin performed over the last, 10 years. Does that mean that Bitcoin's going to perform the same way over the next 10 years? I would say probably not. And this is exactly what we've seen. Like if you look at the different cycles and the percentage increases, I guess it would be called the law of diminishing returns. As time goes on, those returns are going to be diminished over and over and over because you have more participants. You have more, more kind of counterbalance. Right now we have the Bitcoin ETF. So if the Bitcoin price goes up very substantially and Wall Street doesn't like that, they can just dump major shares of the Bitcoin ETFs, and then the Bitcoin ETF share issuers sell the Bitcoin on the open market, and that can offset some of that increase. That's happening now. We've done videos on that on this channel, so make sure you guys are subscribed if you haven't already done so. Because MicroStrategy performs so well against Bitcoin over the last however many years he just said, to me, that's like, well, the party's kind of over. Maybe not, right? But I mean, there's probably other stocks that haven't done that yet, right? We've covered MetaPlanet, which is kind of doing the same thing that MicroStrategy is doing with purchasing Bitcoin. Also, many of the Bitcoin mining stocks have been buying massive quantities of Bitcoin. I think Marathon Digital owns 50,000 Bitcoin or 40,000 Bitcoin, something like that. Riot Platform owns a ton of Bitcoin as well. So those companies, not only are they buying Bitcoin, but they're also mining Bitcoin and getting into the AI compute space, right? So maybe those are going to perform better than MicroStrategy. But also MicroStrategy made a pivot in their core business to AI and high power compute as well. So they may do another 2000x, especially against Bitcoin, because if they're going to become an AI stock and an AI company, this is extremely smart of them, because this is where the narrative of investing is going. He's talking more really about the Bitcoin piece of MicroStrategy. But I mean, if you go to Strategy's website, you can see their whole platform, and that there's actually customers using their products that integrate AI, and they're going to probably continue to develop AI, and all of their connections to the Bitcoin space and the Bitcoin mining companies. Guys, I mean, MicroStrategy could really become the number one company, bigger than Tesla, bigger than SpaceX, bigger than Apple, bigger than Amazon over the next 5-10 years. So what he's saying could happen, right? I'm just kind of giving you guys the counterbalance of why I'm more concerned that we're not going to see it happen as fast due to all the dilution, due to all the debt, due to all the risk. But obviously, the higher the risk, the higher the potential reward if it pays off, right? So that's also important to keep in mind. Let's continue listening in.
I might be pretty smart. I'm smarter than most people, I'd like to think. I'm not a genius by any means. But I like to pretend when it comes to the market like I know nothing and I'm stupid. So I see a current trend where over the last 5 years, Strategy MSTR has returned 2,043% and Bitcoin's returned 850%. And I just pretend I'm dumb and I say something's going on there. The market's smarter than me. Clearly, Strategy's doing something right. I'm going to buy that company, and it will likely do the same thing over the next 5 years. So yeah, over the next 5 years, and the reason is because Strategy's buying Bitcoin and borrowing money more efficiently than the average person can to buy Bitcoin because they're a publicly traded company. That's why they outperform Bitcoin, because they're always increasing Bitcoin per share. So when Bitcoin goes up, Strategy goes double parabolic because the Bitcoin per share increases. So last year they had 74% Bitcoin yield. That's massive. So when Bitcoin doubled or whatever it did, Strategy outperformed because the amount of Bitcoin per share almost doubled that year. So it's like 4x for the year. for in terms of when you add on the Bitcoin price increase. So yeah, I'm really bullish on Michael Saylor's ability to buy Bitcoin, and I'm really bullish on Bitcoin, and that's why I'm fully ported in strategy. And that is why strategy will continue to outperform Bitcoin. And Bitcoin will do great, but strategy will do better. And strategy is the trade of the century. And this year, I think very realistic $1,000 by year end. Probably could go up to $10,000. Who knows? But $1,000 is a very conservative estimate. I think very, very likely, close to 99%, I think, in my opinion, by year end.
So let's kind of break this down. Number one, the reason that MicroStrategy has outperformed Bitcoin is because their Bitcoin strategy wasn't priced in, right? So over the last 5 years, when they started purchasing Bitcoin, this is when it started to get priced in. You could see that happening here in 2020. The orange line is the Bitcoin price. These are all the acquisitions, right? And so if they really should overlay the strategy chart on this as well, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the price of Bitcoin and their Bitcoin thesis and how it worked out, or at least is working out, this wasn't priced in. Now it's priced in, right? So everybody and their mother knows that MicroStrategy is going to continue to buy Bitcoin with debt by issuing new shares, selling them on the market, issuing convertible notes, and all of this other stuff, right? That's not necessarily efficient acquisition because it's all debt based. That's the reason Bitcoin was created. Every situation so far that has caused mass liquidations and a bear market in crypto, it's all over leverage, right? Back in 2017, when we went into the bear market in 2018, that was because of over leverage. You could literally go on a crypto exchange back then and you would get 300x leverage. And nobody even understood the what that risk even meant. They were just like, oh, well, the market's going up, so I'm going to make a lot of money. And then boom, everybody lost everything because they were over leveraged. Not everybody, but a lot of people who were playing with, 100, 200, 300x leverage. Last cycle, it was all of the lending and borrowing in crypto and lending and borrowing to each other in a CJ. And what happened? One went down and then they all cratered until FTX, the big mama of them all, cratered and went bankrupt. So, yeah, the debt issuance is a concern in my view. This year, if Bitcoin price goes up to $150,000, let's say, I could see the MicroStrategy price going to five, six, $700, $800, maybe even touching $1,000. Um, but really, to get a 3x from here with MicroStrategy not issuing any more shares onto the market and selling more shares to buy more Bitcoin, which we know they're going to do. So as they do that, the price is going to go down because remember, if the market cap stays around the same and you issue more shares through this inflationary mechanism to buy more Bitcoin, yes, you're buying the asset with those dollars, but it's diluting every other shareholder, even if it's just a fraction of a penny, right? You do this over the course of billions and billions and billions of dollars. Yeah, that's going to hit the stock. And people, the big money, the smart money, they're not buying when they know there's dilution going on. And so even if you just took that out and you said for MicroStrategy to triple, the Bitcoin price has to triple. Can Bitcoin get to $300,000 by the end of 2025? That's a big question to ask. And it doesn't matter how much more Bitcoin MicroStrategy actually buys because they're going to be diluting the shares by that much by selling onto the open market. It's a very complex situation what they're doing. That's why it's so lucrative and there's so much speculation going on for MicroStrategy in my view. Again, I'm still a MicroStrategy bull. I think it's very smart what they're doing. I think it's very it's new, right? But I'm not holding MicroStrategy for long periods. Like my goal is to buy at $325, sell at $385 or $400 or $450 or whatever the number is. I mean, last year you could have bought MicroStrategy at $100, $125, and it went all the way up to $500. So 125 to 5, that's 4x. What do you think the big money did? They sold their MicroStrategy. Take a 4x, and now we're down 30% since the top, or about 33%. What are they doing? Probably buying some more. Maybe they're going to wait for it to come down even more. I don't know. But yeah, if you guys kind of like these reaction videos where we kind of go over different things happening in finance, different people's strategy and thought process behind investments, let me know down below. Again, I am an MSTR bull. I do think that it's going to perform well. I just don't know that it's going to perform as well as we have been performing in previously because now everything's priced in. And what I don't think is priced in is the concern or risk of kind of the debt situation and also the high dollar cost average if Bitcoin comes down in a bear market. And so we'll kind of have to wait and see. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about MicroStrategy down below in the comments of the video while you're down there. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out my other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys when I see you crypto on.